Today, let's do some WII Homebrew. Now, before we begin, we need to understand what's going on here. Now, a lot of people have claimed to get GameCube Homebrew running on the Wii in Wii mode, when that's just complete and total bullshit. The Wii is 100% backwards compatible with the GameCube, meaning all of the Homebrew and all of the soft mods and all of the hacks that we have for the GameCube will pretty much work on the Wii. Now yes, Nintendo has released some updates to the actual onboard operating system to disallow us from running some Homebrew that will only run in GameCube mode. Now, most people realize that the Wii has two modes, GameCube mode or Wii mode, but you don't really understand what's going on behind the pictures inside the console. The Wii itself has the Hollywood processor, which is the main CPU, and then the Starlit processor. The Starlit is pretty much a ball and chain for Hollywood. It sets up all of the hardware and deals with all of the communication and all of the encryption, pretty much just being a supervisor to make sure that Hollywood is doing its job appropriately. Now, the first thing that comes to life in the Wii is Starlit, and Starlit says, okay, we're going to set up our encryption, we're going to set up our hardware. Do we want to be in GameCube mode, or do we want to be in Wii mode? If you're in Wii mode, everything is excessively encrypted, it's really hard to get around. There has been work on getting around the encryption, but we're really not going to get into that. It's way beyond what we're going to be doing today. Now, when you go into GameCube mode, it turns off critical Wii hardware, such as the Bluetooth for the remote controls, the Wi-Fi, the SD ports, and it turns off a good chunk of the memory, as well as shut down certain core memory and core CPU and GPU functions. That way you're really just running in bare minimal GameCube mode. Now the problem with that is Starlit will not allow us in GameCube mode to turn on any of the Wii hardware. Now Team Tweezers has found an exploit, or a memory hole, in Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess that will allow us to buffer overflow and let us run our own homebrew in native Wii mode. Now a lot of people have been using the Wii in GameCube mode, but you can't take advantage of all of that extra memory, you can't take advantage of the extra CPU power, you can't take advantage of any of the beefed up graphics power. That's because all of that's turned off. Now, in the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, you have a horse, and whatever you name the horse, if you name it an excessively long character name, it'll actually buffer overflow in Team Tweezers using their great techno hacking powers. Not even going to get into how great the work that they've been doing. I've been following them greatly, and there's it's a pretty awesome stuff that they've been doing. But anyway, they've figured out a way to create a chain loader, and you can actually load ELF files. Now, if you remember back from the GameCube segments, we were working with DOL files, .dol extension. Well, that's something kind of funny. I don't know a really good way of actually explaining the difference between an ELF and a DOL file is, but an ELF is pretty much just a raw binary compiled file. But a DOL file is specific to the actual GameCube and Wii that'll set up the hardware and the registers and all of that jazz. So a DOL file has an ELF file inside, and wrapped around it, this DOL file will tell the hardware explicitly how to set up and what needs to be organized for it to function. That's really a poor way of explaining it, but it's the only way in non-technical terms I can really make an analogy. So, with the Wii mode, we use ELF files, primarily right now, until things start to pick up a little bit. Now, to do an actual, any homebrew right now, as of this recording, you're going to need a Wii, some kind of SD card, a Wiimote, and some kind of GameCube controller, because a lot of the homebrew really utilizes the GameCube controller because this really makes a poor controller. And of course, you know, a Wii, and you're going to need a computer and some way to get files onto the SD card. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the computer side, and I'll go ahead and show you where to get the files, how to put them on your card, how to put them on the Wii, and how to actually set up this exploit so you can start running your own homebrew. Point your favorite web browser over to WIIBrew.org, which is the home and the place for information about the latest WII Homebrew news and downloads. Go to the search box and type in Twilight Hack, and this should bring you directly to the Twilight Hack WIIBrew chain loader. And it's going to have some downloads, of course. You're going to have to download a copy of it. And then it's going to have explicit instructions on exactly how to set this up. Now this is going to explain that you need to format your SD card in FAT16, and if you don't have a FAT16 file system, they have a special tool, the official SD card format tool, which you can download and use that. Now, you're going to have to go and take your Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess disc and look on the inner circle or the inner ring, and it'll have some print on it. And depending on what's printed on it will depend on which one of the binary files inside of the archive you downloaded you will have to use. Then the instructions will explain that you have to take your SD card and you create a folder called Private, WII, Title, and then a folder, RZDE if you're in America, P if it's PAL, or J if it's Japan, and then put the appropriate binary file from the archive and rename it data.bin. This is the actual save game in itself that will actually be the exploit. Now, while you're there, you might as well go ahead and download some Homebrew. They do have some things. So I've made a folder with Homebrew, and one of the things I want to show you is SDElf Loader. Now, typically when you want to run some Homebrew, you're going to need boot.elf. Whatever your Homebrew is, the elf file needs to be named boot.elf, because the actual chain loader will only look for this specific file. Now, SDElf Loader, what this will do is this will be named boot.bin, in this case, there it is, and it asks you to make a folder called elf and put all of your elf files in there. So this file loader will load and allow you to select your elf files from there instead of having to take your SD card out every single time and then name your Homebrew to boot.elf. This is pretty much just a menu loader. Now, the Team Tweezers has actually released a WII Homebrew channel, which it's on the homepage somewhere. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Here we go, the Homebrew channel. No, that's the banner. It's around here somewhere. Well, it's around here somewhere. But what it does is it actually installs a WII Homebrew channel to your Wii menu. However, it's only got a 10-minute limit, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could actually run the risk of turning your Wii into a brick. Would not recommend using that right now until it's 100% guaranteed and they have an unlimited time limit to that, which would actually replace the SDElf load. So, let's go to the console side. We've got the format, it's FAT16, we've got some elf files, we've got boot.elf, which is our SDElf loader, we've got our exploit for our Homebrew, appropriately named, and we'll go to the console side and we'll install this and we'll get some Homebrew going. Normally I like to have the console right in front of me whenever I'm doing a segment, so I can show you that the Homebrew or whatever I'm doing is not some kind of editing magic or some kind of bullshit that you'd catch on YouTube. Unfortunately, my Wii is so tangled with inside my entertainment center, I can't pull the video cables out, and I'm not going to buy another pair just for the segment. Blow me. I think I've done enough stuff on the show to have some good faith. But anyway, we'll get to the Wii side. This is a fairly easy process. It's just a matter of going into your Wii options, into the data management. Go into your save data of the Wii, and go to your SD card. And you'll have the WII Homebrew Chain Loader, Twilight Hack by Team Tweezers. We're going to copy this over. Now, it's complaining because I've already copied it over. I've been doing this a while. But anyway, it should copy just fine. If it gives you any problems, chances being that you might have just named something improperly, or you just have wrong case or a wrong file name. So, we're going to go back to the Wii menu. And we're going to go ahead and run Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This is nothing new. They've been doing this for a while. I'm really looking forward to the WII Homebrew channel. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, whether or not Nintendo can actually block this, we're not sure yet. So, as for the actual Legend of Zelda hack, I'm pretty sure they can't. But for the Homebrew channel, I'm pretty sure they can. So, where is this? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start our game. We're going to notice that, by the way, it would be a good idea to back up your save game. Before you do this, you might actually lose it. So go to the Twilight hack, and we're going to go ahead and start. Now, to trigger this, you have to either leave the stage or go talk to someone. So there's a guy in front of us, and we're going to go talk to him. And this works by actually exploiting a very long name in the actual horse name. It's supposed to be Epona or something like that. By having an excessively long name, it allows us to actually trigger a buffer overflow, smash a stack, and then have a preliminary chain loader. So, we got our controller, and the front SDL floater working just fine. And it's going to say, press A to display the selection menu. Okay, pressing A. So we've got MP3 player, Tetris, and Snake. Alright, let's go with, Tetris is always good. And it's going to read a bunch of the blocks off the SD card. It's going to load its memory. It's going to take a little while. And then eventually it'll load. Now there's a bunch of homebrew that's being developed. There's actually a DVD player. We've got an N64 emulator, Super Nintendo emulator, Genesis, Sega Master System. And here we go. Hey, look, it's Tetris. Whoop-de-doo. Like we've never played Tetris before. Yay. Hey, it's Tetris. There we go. Back into the SD loader. And we'll play some Snake. Now we'll go ahead and read from the memory card. This is WII Homebrew. There's a lot out there, and there's a lot more coming. But there's been a lot of grounds when it comes to breaking the actual disk encryption and file system encryption, allowing us to create homebrew channels and allowing us different methods for running our own homebrew code. The problem is Nintendo might get a little pissed off at people and start locking the system down a little bit more or fixing the problems. In fact, I believe it's Daytel. They released the Wii Freeloader, which allows you to play other region Wii games on the actual Wii. Yeah, Nintendo pretty much locked that down already. So there's actually a lot of progress that is being made. It's just being very slow, and people really aren't releasing too much information right now, mainly because some of the things that they're doing could be used or explicitly for piracy, and there is a severe anti-piracy motif inside the homebrew scene. If you go into any of the WII Homebrew channels, especially on WiiBrew, and you mention anything whatsoever according to piracy, they will crack down on that ban hammer like a son of a bitch, and to be honest, I can't say that I blame them. As soon as there's something new that comes out when there could be any kind of piracy involved, the piracy scene pretty much just sinks their claws into it. The corporations sink their claws in it so they can push out some kind of product to make a profit, completely destroying all the wonderful work that the homebrew scene's actually doing. If you really want an up-to-date list of what's going on with the WII Homebrew, I would highly recommend going on to FNet, even though I hate FNet, and go into the actual WII Dev channel. It's on the WiiBrew website. But I'm not going to go and showcase every single chunk of homebrew out there. I'll put a lot in the show notes. As always, you hit the forums, go to the show notes, and I'll link to WiiBrew, IRC, as much information as I can. There's no point in me actually giving you more information that's already on Google. So, hopefully this will last a while, and hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more in future episodes.